It's a profound joy for me to speak to you today, with the melody of such beautiful names echoing in my heart. When I reflect on your name in my melody, the phrase itself reminds me that every name is more than a word. It carries story, history, connection. And when the name is tied to someone like my sister, Infanta Sofia of Spain, or tied to the title I one day will bear, those names become part of a greater melody of service, of commitment, of the shared path we walk together. From a young age I have known that to carry the title of princess is to carry responsibility not just for myself, but for all those I am privileged to represent. I have learned that service is not a burden, but a gift, that every action, every word can become part of the harmony we create as a community. In this channel, in your listening, your engagement, I see that melody. I see your names, your hopes, your questions, and I am grateful. My sister and I have grown side by side, learning that our bond is not only of family but of shared duty. We have listened to each other, supported each other, and discovered that when one voice rises, it lifts the harmony for all of us. And so I say to you, your voice, your name matters. When you take part in this melody, you bring meaning, you bring light. Let us remember together that the future we imagine is built today, a future where names are respected, melodies are shared, and service to others is our greatest note. May our names resonate not only in our hearts, but in our actions. May the melody we create be one of hope, dignity, unity. When I think about the value of personal connection, I am reminded of how deeply our lives are shaped by the people who surround us. We exist not as isolated beings, but as part of a grander tapestry where each thread, each name, holds a purpose. While our paths may be different and our callings varied, it is our shared humanity that brings us together like notes in a melody. And it is in this melody, where personal connections are the music, that I find the truest sense of gratitude. I have always believed that gratitude isn't simply a polite expression. It is a way of recognizing that everything we are and everything we do is built, not only by our own efforts, but by the hands and hearts of others too. From the moment we are born, we inherit stories, relationships, and responsibilities that shape our lives. And so I stand here, fully aware that every step I am allowed to take is supported by the love, trust, and commitment of the people who believe in me, guide me, and walk alongside me. As I reflect on this, I am moved by how every name we carry and every name we speak holds meaning. These names might belong to our family members, our friends, or even those we have never met but whose actions change our lives. And it is these names, those who encourage us to be more, to serve better, to live with dignity, that become part of the melody we compose each day. That melody cannot exist without harmony, and harmony cannot exist without connection. And so, whether one speaks from the heart of a royal home, or from any corner of the world, it is this shared human connection that brings us closer, that helps us understand that we are not alone in our journeys. Gratitude, at its core, is a response to kindness, and when we speak of gratitude, we do not simply thank other people for what they give us, we honor them. We recognize their presence in our lives and the way they have helped shape us. I have learned that expressing gratitude also means accepting that we do not achieve things alone. Every achievement is a composition of many efforts, many sacrifices, many hopes. That awareness gives me strength. It reminds me that no act of service is too small, no connection insignificant. When I stand before others, when I speak or when I listen, there is always a sense of responsibility, not just to myself, but to all who have placed their faith in me. Every year, that understanding deepens, and the gratitude I feel becomes not a fleeting feeling, but a guiding light. I am also grateful for the quiet, everyday moments that shape us without any ceremony, the words of encouragement from someone we trust, the silent understanding offered by a sibling, the warm smile from a stranger. Even brief connections leave a mark, and remind us of the goodness we can find in people, and the goodness we must offer in return. When we allow ourselves to appreciate those gestures, we begin to find music in the simplest interactions. And that music strengthens us, it uplifts us, it sustains us. This perspective has taught me to see gratitude not as a formality, but as a posture of the heart, a readiness to receive, to learn, and to give back. Whether I am speaking before a room full of people or in an intimate setting, my hope is always to honor the connections that make me who I am, to offer something meaningful, and to be reminded of the gifts I have been given. When we carry gratitude with us, it becomes clearer that every one of us has a role to play, a note to carry. We may be called to different paths, some public, some private, but each path has value. Each connection we make, each person we meet, carries a story that can enrich our own. Just as a melody grows richer with harmony, so does our life grow fuller with connection. My journey has not been one of solitary reflection or singular ambition. It has been nurtured by the wisdom of those who came before me, and by the guidance of those who stand beside me. It has been strengthened by moments of honest conversation, humbled by shared struggles, uplifted by laughter, anchored by loyalty, and filled with the affection and support of those I hold dear. No one moves forward without people who believe in them, challenge them, encourage them, or stand with them in times of difficulty, and in recognizing that, my heart is ever grateful. It teaches me that leadership is not only about decisions or duties, but about relationships. It is about remembering that every person who follows, walks with, or looks up to us is a name worth honoring, a life worth acknowledging. So when I think of a melody, when I think of the names that fill my life with meaning, I don't hear a solitary voice. I hear harmonies, harmonies of wisdom, of kindness, of encouragement. I hear the quiet but strong voices of those who made it possible for me to speak today, and I am reminded that the only appropriate response to such a gift is a life lived in service, in understanding, in gratitude. Gratitude is not passive. It calls us to action. It inspires us to care, to listen, to guide, and to uplift. It inspires us to remember that the people who surround us are not accidents of circumstance, but parts of our mission. When I look at the many paths that stretch before us as a community, as a nation, or even as a family, I feel a sense of hope, knowing that the names who walk with us also walk within us. And so, to every person whose path has crossed mine, or has yet to, I say thank you. Thank you for being part of a story bigger than any one of us. Thank you for your courage, for your curiosity, for your service, for your voice. Thank you for being a note in this melody of shared purpose. And may we continue to carry that melody, not in isolation, but together, with every step we take, every gesture we give, and every name we honor in the symphony of our lives. Responsibility and service are truths that become clearer as life unfolds and maturity deepens. They are not simply roles to fulfill, they are callings that take root in the heart, shaping our identity and the way we interact with the world. In recognizing responsibility not as a burden but as a form of purpose, and service not as a duty but as a path to meaning, we open ourselves to a life that extends beyond personal desires, forming bonds with others and leaving an imprint worth remembering. For me, responsibility has always felt like both a weight and a gift, a dual force that requires balance, awareness, and sincerity. In the position I hold and the journey I am on, responsibility began as something taught to me, in words, in customs, in expectation. But over time, it became something deeply internalized. It became a commitment not because I was told to embody it, but because I saw the value of placing others before oneself, of protecting what is good, and lending strength where it is needed. That transformation from instruction to ownership is when responsibility becomes part of one's character. What gives responsibility its depth is the awareness that others are watching, listening, learning. It is the understanding that one's actions reach beyond individual consequence, that each decision, each gesture, Each word holds the potential to inspire or to harm. That realization isn't meant to instill fear, but rather to nurture care, a sense of mindfulness in how we choose to act, even in moments unseen. Service, too, evolves in this way. It begins often with obligation, an external expectation. But genuine service is an offering, a willingness to put the needs of others above convenience, comfort, or applause. In fact, the most profound acts of service often go unnoticed, existing not in speeches or ceremonies, but in the quiet moments where compassion meets action, where sacrifice is made without seeking praise. It is in those moments that service reveals its power. Whether tending to the needs of a community, supporting those who feel unheard, or leading with quiet integrity, service invites us to use our gifts for a greater good. And in doing so, it shapes us into better versions of ourselves. Steady, resilient, thoughtful. It reminds us that leadership is not about standing above others, but walking alongside them. Growing up, I have watched people around me devote themselves to service, not because it is grand, but because it matters, because every act of service, however small it may seem, is a testament to our shared humanity. Whether it is helping a neighbor, comforting a child, or creating policy that uplifts a nation, service is the thread that binds a society together, and in embracing it, we honor the dignity of those we serve. Service also teaches humility. In serving, one must listen more than speak, learn more than instruct, and understand more than judge. It asks us to recognize that wisdom can arise from unexpected places, that solutions often come from collaboration, and that true strength is not wielded through domination, but through empathy and openness. Service is ultimately an invitation to see and respond not only as leaders but as human beings, and responsibility, when tied with service, has the power to transform not just individuals but generations. It allows us to build bridges across differences, to cultivate peace where there is division, and to demonstrate that righteousness is not about perfection, but about persistence, about choosing again and again to act with integrity, even in the face of hardship. In carrying responsibility, one must also carry hope that every small act of goodwill contributes to a world where justice and kindness prevail, hope that the future is shaped not just by what we dream, but by what we are willing to do. Hope that service inspires more service, creating ripples of change that move through time much farther than our eyes can see. Responsibility guides our steps, but it does not bind us. It frees us from the narrowness of self-centered living and calls us into a life of deeper meaning. It reminds us that the truest form of privilege is not what we gain, but what we are able to give back, and that service, when embraced fully, opens a pathway of fulfillment that no personal achievement alone can offer. I say all this knowing that none of us are perfect, and that responsibility can feel daunting, but it is in the willingness to try, to grow, to reflect, that we find our way. No one is born ready to carry the weight of responsibility, but with time, guidance, and a clear sense of purpose, we rise. We learn that mistakes are not the end, but the beginning of wisdom, that every challenge offers a chance to strengthen one's moral compass, that responsibility is less about grandeur and more about constancy, doing what is right even when the world is not watching. To serve is to love people, to love peace, to love justice, to love the truth. And it is in loving through service that we earn the trust of others, and the worthiness of whatever role we hold. The real value of responsibility lies not in the position itself, but in how we choose to live it out day after day, choice after choice. So, as I move forward, I carry with me the belief that responsibility is not heavy when it is carried with honor, and service is not a duty when it is given with heart. These are the values that ground me, the principles I strive to embody. For every life has the capacity to lead, to influence, to inspire, and when responsibility and service join hands within a person, they illuminate the path, not only for that person, but for everyone who walks beside them, and everyone who will follow after. May we each, in our own way, embrace responsibility not as a constraint, but as a calling. May we find joy in service, knowing that even the smallest gesture of goodness is a testament to our shared humanity. And may we remember always that the world we hope for will be built not by those who serve themselves, but by those who serve others with purpose, courage, and love. Hope is a quiet but powerful force, one that guides us through uncertainty, brightens the darkest corridors of our fears, and inspires us to keep moving even when the horizon feels distant. It is hope that binds us as human beings, and it is hope that strengthens our unity, reminding us that no matter where we come from, we are connected by our shared dreams and our shared capacity to shape a better world. When I look toward the future, I do not see a single story unfolding, but a vast tapestry, woven from countless lives, voices, and experiences. Each person adds a thread, each act of kindness a color, each sacrifice a shimmer of strength. And it is in this togetherness, this collaboration of hearts and minds, that the most meaningful progress is made. It is unity, not competition, that defines us at our best, not isolation, but cooperation. Not fear, but faith in one another. The future is not something that simply arrives. It is something we create. It is built through daily acts of courage, resilience, curiosity, and compassion. And that means hope is not just an emotion, it is an active choice. A decision to believe that what we do matters, that each gesture of care has the potential to echo through time, that every voice raised for justice and dignity becomes part of a chorus too powerful to ignore. But hope cannot be sustained alone. It finds its strength in unity, in the collective spirit that refuses to be broken. In a world where divisions so often dominate the headlines, unity becomes not just important, but essential. Unity does not mean sameness. It means respect in our differences and harmony in our diversity. It is an understanding that our varied perspectives enrich us, and that we are stronger when we lift one another up than when we stand apart. I have come to understand unity not as a grand act, but as a daily practice. It exists in the way we greet each other, the way we listen, the way we choose patience over judgment, understanding over assumption. It is found in the willingness to see beyond ourselves, to recognize the humanity in every person, and to remember that no one's voice is too small to matter. These small acts of unity are the foundations on which nations are built, on which peace is preserved, on which the future grows. The future, I imagine, is not one without challenges, but one where challenges do not defeat us because we face them side by side. A future where young people are trusted to bring innovation and energy, where elders are honored for their wisdom, where every generation contributes to the bridge that connects the past to the possibilities ahead. In this future, no one's identity becomes a barrier, and every person is seen as part of the shared journey. Hope flourishes when we allow ourselves to believe not only in what we can do individually, but in what we can achieve together. It grows stronger when we choose empathy over indifference, when we support the vulnerable and celebrate the brave, when we stop thinking in terms of them and us and start remembering that we are all we. There is something beautiful in the idea that the future is not yet fixed. It means that every day we have the power to plant seeds, seeds of change, seeds of peace, seeds of unity. These seeds may be small. They may go unnoticed at first, but in time they become the forests under which generations can gather, find shelter, and dream. So when I speak about hope, I speak about what is possible, but when I speak about unity, I speak about what is necessary. These two are inseparable. Hope gives us the vision, unity gives us the strength. Hope imagines what the world could be, unity builds it, one act of solidarity at a time. We will face doubt along the way. We always do. There will be moments when the road feels steep, when our differences feel too wide to cross, when uncertainty presses against our resolve. But it is precisely in those moments that we must remember the power of standing together, that even the smallest spark of hope, when shared, can become a beacon, that every great chapter in history was written not by one voice, but by many. Let us not underestimate the influence of the example we set. When we choose unity over division, we tell a story that others can follow. When we honor both heritage and change, we protect what is valuable while opening doors to what is possible. When we welcome instead of judge, build instead of break, listen instead of silence, we inspire hope far beyond our immediate reach. The future I believe in is one where young and old walk side by side, where nations extend their hands instead of drawing lines, where technology unites rather than isolates, and where the arts, sciences, language, and cultures of the world are celebrated as treasures, gifts we offer and exchange freely. There is a special kind of peace that comes from knowing we are not alone on the path ahead, that while one person may not be able to change the world alone, together we can build a world worthy of the dreams we hold. That unity is not a state we inherit, it is a choice we make again and again, and so I hold